A brewing war in Asia and globalists in crisis. It's 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV. 5 things you need to know for this Friday, April 25th, 2025, in about 10 minutes. I'm Derek Gilbert. Item number 5 today, India and Pakistan. This actually broke a couple of days ago, so I'm late in getting this story to you. But keep an eye on South Asia, where India and Pakistan are ratcheting up tension again. And relations have been tense between these two countries ever since Pakistan became an independent nation about 75 years ago. As recently as 2019, Indian jets bombed sites inside Pakistan after militants crossed the border and killed 40 Indian paramilitary personnel. This is in the disputed area of Kashmir. And this is where the most recent incident took place, where 26 tourists were killed several days ago by militants, Muslim militants attacking Hindus, 25 of the 26 Indian nationals. This took place on Tuesday at a village that's only accessible by mule or by foot. It's in a remote valley, a tourist destination. Again, these tourists killed, and reportedly it was demanded that they say the Shahada, which is the submission to Islam, before they were executed. Now, India is blaming Pakistan. It's downgraded their diplomatic ties, and a crucial water sharing treaty where India allows water from the Indus River to flow into Pakistan, very critical for agriculture. They're holding that treaty in abeyance and threatening to cut off water. Pakistan, for its part, denies any role in the attack, says it was a false flag by India, wanting to make Pakistan the fall guy, the bad guy for this, to justify its moves. Bear in mind that both India and Pakistan have nuclear weapons. So this is not a good situation. Both countries suspended visas for citizens of the other nation inside their countries, basically giving them 48 hours to get out or be arrested. Topic number 4 today, the World Economic Forum. You may have heard, as we told you several weeks ago, that the beginning of April, Klaus Schwab had announced he would step down as the CEO of the organization he founded some 50 years ago. Well, now he is out, just gone. He's decided to quit effective immediately. This was over the weekend. He apparently was confronted by the board of directors, who told him they were going to investigate allegations brought forth by a whistleblower, things like manipulating research published by the WEF to coddle favor with certain influential and wealthy nations, using company funds to pay for private in-room massages, asking junior staff to go to ATMs and withdraw thousands of dollars for his own personal use, demanding senior management nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize. His wife, Hilda, who until recently was an employee of the WEF, was responsible for the purchase of a very swanky resort villa overlooking Lake Como in Switzerland. Spent about $30 million on this. It's called Villa Mundi, and then spent another $20 million renovating it. And she maintains tight control over who gets access to the villa. Essentially, it appears that the Schwabs were using the World Economic Forum as their own private cash cow. Well, the board wanted to check into that. Schwab objected and just finally said, that's it, fine, I'm taking my marbles and going home. Now, what happens to the World Economic Forum from here? The board of directors includes some very high-profile people, including the head of BlackRock, Larry Fink, managing director of the International Monetary Fund, Kristalina Georgieva, former U.S. Vice President Al Gore, cellist Yo-Yo Ma. They held an emergency meeting on Sunday, Easter Sunday, to talk to Schwab about this, and that's when Schwab said, that's it, I'm out. He's 87 years old. It was about time for him to step down anyway. The interim CEO is the former CEO of Nestle, who is not a nice guy either. He is on record as saying that access to clean water should not be a basic human right. Nestle sells a lot of water into the third and developing worlds. Topic number 3, the World Health Organization. Speaking of globalists in crisis, just 3 months after President Trump announced through executive order that he was withdrawing the United States from the World Health Organization, the WHO is now suffering a large salary gap and have no choice but to scale down their workforce with significant layoffs. We should note the World Health Organization has received over $3.5 billion from the United States since 2010. According to Dr. Tedros, the chief of the WHO, quote, the refusal of the U.S. to pay its assessed contributions for 2024 and 2025, combined with reductions in official development assistance by some other countries, means we are facing a salary gap for the 2026-27 biennium of between $560 and $650 million. Now, in Trump's executive order, signed January 20th, halting U.S. funding for the UN organization, the president cited, quote, the World Health Organization's mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic that arose out of Wuhan, China, as well as other global health concerns. Now, one of the other things we've been watching over the last few years is the World Health Organization's ongoing efforts to draft a legal framework to make it essentially a global dictatorship. The next time they announce a public health emergency of international concern, or a PHEIC, that's the acronym, PHEIC, they would then assume under the international health regulations a treaty to which all but 5 nations in the world have signed onto, including the United States. The World Health Organization would assume responsibility for directing national responses to the pandemic, whatever it is, but they also define for the purposes of pandemic mis, dis, and malinformation. Yes, the World Health Organization in the international health regulations, as amended last spring, would have the power to control information shared through social media and traditional media, under the guise of controlling the infodemic. They literally use that term, the infodemic. So to President Trump, we say, thank you, Mr. President. Getting us out of the World Health Organization is long overdue. Topic number 2, the conclave. Not just the movie, but the real thing. One of the big stories of the week, of course, as we told you Monday, was the passing of Pope Francis at the age of 88. Now, the process of choosing the next pope is underway, and of course, there is a movie out there now on streaming video services featuring actors Ralph Fiennes, John Lithgow, and others about the plots behind the scenes to choose a pope. Interestingly, when the novel, The Conclave, was written in 2016, the chronological clues in the novel point to the year 2025, almost prophetic. Anyway, there are 252 cardinals, 138 qualify as electors. Only those under the age of 80 may take part in the secret ballot, which will be held in the Sistine Chapel. There'll be 4 rounds of voting each day until a candidate receives two-thirds of the votes. This usually takes between 2 and 3 weeks. It is believed by those participating that the Holy Spirit will guide the conclave to find the worthy successor to St. Peter. That is Roman Catholic belief. We as Protestants do not believe that Peter was the first pope, but this is what is going to take place in Rome, and since this affects 60% of the professing Christians on earth, it is newsworthy. The movie, The Conclave, by the way, has seen a surge in viewership this week, not surprisingly, and according to experts in the process, a lot of the details are accurate. Might be worth a look. Coming up, some of you have asked, so details on my medical test results from last week, tell you a little bit more about that. And archaeologists find evidence of a civilization that was bloody, but mostly peaceful. I'll explain next on 5 and 10.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can support the ministry of Skywatch TV and our continued efforts to share the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout the 4 corners of the world and receive your very own copy of this incredible masterpiece when you order the Gates of Hell Ultimate Collection. Not only does this incredible special offer include Derek and Sharon Gilbert's new book, The Gates of Hell, Unlocking the Ganymede Code and the Demonic Portals of Mount Hermon and the United States Capitol, but it also includes the best-selling books Veneration, Unveiling the Ancient Realms of Demonic Kings and Satan's Battle Plan for Armageddon, and The Second Coming of Saturn, The Great Conjunction, America's Temple, and the Return of the Watchers by Derek and Sharon Gilbert. Veneration uncovers uncovers how the ancient giants known as the Rephaim influenced biblical beliefs, leading to the corruption of God's people and their eventual return to fight at Armageddon alongside the Antichrist. The second coming of Saturn reveals a dark prophecy, with the 2020 conjunction marking the return of the ancient god whose reign will bring a hellish golden age, as foretold in occult symbols and Bible prophecy. Sold separately, these items hold a retail value of over $60. Yours now for your donation of only $40, which includes free shipping to all U.S. orders. So don't delay. You can support the ministry of Skywatch TV and help us continue spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ right now by scanning the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone for instant access to this special opportunity. Visit us at skywatchtvstore.com or call 1-844-750-4985 and ask for the Gates of Hell Ultimate Collection now.
Item number 1 today, bloody but mostly peaceful. You know, it took many, many years for archaeologists to agree that, yeah, the Phoenicians really did sacrifice their children. Those Carthaginians and their successor states in places like Sicily and Sardinia and the southern coast of Spain, yeah, they were kind of, killing their kids. They don't like to admit that these cultures that are non-Western or non-Christian might actually have done things that we would consider bad. Well, this seems to be the case in Central America now, where an altar from the Teotihuacan culture, which was based in what is now Mexico, was found in the Tikal National Park in Guatemala, which was the center of the Mayan culture, demonstrating that those two cultures did interact with one another. The archaeologist who led the discovery said that the Teotihuacan altar was believed to have been used for sacrifices, quote, especially of children, end quote. Now, CBS News, who asked another archaeologist not involved in the dig what she thought about this, her response was this: the discovery confirms, quote, that there's been an interconnection between both cultures and what their relationships with their gods and celestial bodies was like. We see how the issue of sacrifice exists in both cultures. It was a practice. It's not that they were violent. It was their way of connecting with the celestial bodies, end quote. Okay, so bloody, but mostly peaceful. This week in Skywatch TV, we're talking about the gates of hell, both the place where Jesus took his disciples to declare his divinity, but also the new book by Sharon and me. It is the topic of conversation this week, where we discuss an entity, a fallen angel, if you will, more dangerous than Satan, perhaps, because he's in the abyss, in the bottomless pit, whereas Satan is still roaming the earth. Our broadcast schedule for the program is posted at skywatchtv.com/channels. That's our friend Jack, retired fellow who mows our lawn for greens fees. /channels. Lost my train of thought there. You can also watch it right now on your schedule. Apple TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV. Just add the free Skywatch TV channel to your set-top box, or watch us on the internet, youtube.com/@Skywatch Television, where we would encourage you to subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications, hit the like button, and rumble.com/Skywatch TV. You can also watch us right now on your smartphone or tablet, bypassing the gatekeepers of big tech by downloading the free Skywatch TV app to your device, whether it's iOS, Android, or Amazon Kindle Fire. We have apps for all of those and links to those app stores at skywatchtv.com/app. As I told you last week, I was going out for some medical testing that resulted in a very attenuated schedule of these 5 and 10 broadcasts last week. Was up in Springfield a couple of days for some blood work, and on Thursday, a lumbar puncture, or more commonly known as a spinal tap. Thankfully, that was really no worse than a blood draw. I must have had a good tech, because it really was not that bad. Anyway, what we found from the results from the blood work and the spinal tap was that I am dealing with some sort of autoimmune disorder. It has been tentatively identified as CIDP, or chronic inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy, which fancy way of saying that my body is attacking my nerves in my lower legs and feet. What's causing it? Don't know. The standard protocol for treatment is powerful steroids, and really not interested in going that road because there's some pretty bad side effects for long-term steroid use. So we're looking at some nutritional and supplemental protocols that will address the inflammation and target the virus that we think is behind all this. So anyway, I appreciate your prayers. I'm getting around fine with my steel tube cane, or tubal cane as I call them. And I, again, very much appreciate your prayers. But the Lord's got more for me to do. And thankfully, other than the balance issues from time to time, which is not inner ear related, thankfully, feeling good. So thank you for watching as we keep watch. Have a blessed weekend. I'm Derek Gilbert at 5 and 10 from Skywatch TV.